All right, so we're done with happenings in the world of sport. Today we're excited about the conversation we're going to have today on our well-being segment, cholera. We've been discussing this each and every time you go out there, and backstage too, we're having some conversation, but we need to delve deeper with our very own EDINA AYENSU, our wellness guide. We're discussing understanding cholera causes, symptoms, and early warning signs. Good morning, how are you doing? Yeah, I'm good. We missed you out in last week. Yeah, great. But we're grateful and to God for giving us life, and we get to see you today.
Yeah, sure.
Great. And how's your match starting?
With cholera.
Oh my! Let's delve into that then. Let's talk cholera.
Yes.
What is cholera in general?
Cholera is, I want to use the layman, so it's just an acute onset of diarrhea. But in layman's language, it is just you. I don't have to say it, but I have to say
You
it.
have to.
It's just you ingesting somebody's poop that has the bacteria called the Vibrio cholerae in it. So somebody may have it in his intestines and then like small intestines. So when the person passes poop, at that time the person is not actively showing symptoms of cholera.
Okay.
So the person loses the stool and then by chance it finds its way into your water, your food, or your mouth, then indirectly you have eaten the person's poop with the bacteria. Then you start.
Oh my God! I have to take my head back.
I'm not eating this morning.
I beg you, please.
No, I'm not.
Just to ensure that you're
Definitely.
eating very clean, hygienic food. You washed your hands clean as well.
Interesting.
The food has to be very hot and well cooked.
Very hot
Okay.
and very cooked. You know, my mom doesn't spare how do you call it, houseflies. The moment she sees houseflies in the kitchen,
Right.
wherever she's struggling with them, I'm like,
Especially
"Mom."
the big ones,
Yeah.
right?
They even
I
have
love
some
mangoes, but because of that, I don't
sounds.
like
Yeah,
to eat mangoes
mangoes.
because you don't know where they come from. Like all of a sudden, they're all over the place. So that's one carrier, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about other carriers of this cholera bacteria thing.
So your food, so unclean food, unclean water, like from very bad,
bad
areas,
areas, yeah.
and then from our own hands. So let me tell you a funny story. We had a case way back when I was doing my clinicals, and then it was just a bus from Accra to Kumasi.
Okay.
So somebody used the washroom, and then I'm sure he didn't wash his hands after using the washroom. So when he was climbing the bus, the rails
Oh,
up,
dear.
and then touched the seats before going to his seat. Then every other person who climbed was using the rails into the bus and touching it. So by the time they got to Kumasi, so Nkosiara, Metobi, Isio Metobi, bread, and all those things. So by the time they got to Kumasi, majority of the people were already in the hospital. But by the time we would do the contact tracing and everything, we had lost a few of them.
Lost.
Yes, lost a few of them. That's how bad cholera is. So the onset is very fast, and then the carriers are just the basic things you would not consider. Yes.
Yeah.
So your food, your water, which has been infected, because you don't know where the water is coming from, you don't know where the food is coming from. Your fruits, but the water is unclean. So maybe you are eating the fruit for something healthy, but the water used to wash it will just give you the Vibrio cholerae. Then you start.
that's it.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me, growing up, we used to have one lady we buy the house cook from.
Okay.
Yes, back in Newtown. And you know that sugar, and they have that big flies in there. And the woman selling the porridge doesn't suck it. They go like, oh, sugar and homwa. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yes.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah.
It is very popular at Kintampo.
Yes.
It's crazy. So I don't eat, like I don't take porridge when I go to
Porridge.
Kintampo
Yeah.
to my dad's because almost every seller has that same
Big
thing
flies
happening
in there.
at their
And
side.
they're
so I
okay
don't
with
take
it.
Yeah,
You
they
don't know
don't
where
suck
they're
it coming from.
Are they
Exactly.
flies?
I really don't know, because almost say sugar and homwa. That's what they've been saying.
Some look like bees.
Bees,
Yes.
yeah.
Some look like bees, yes.
But
So,
how safe is that?
well, if they don't settle on human excreta or they don't settle on the wrong things, then
Okay.
but you don't know where what has been, so you can't guarantee the safety of the,
safety
hygienic
of it,
nature
yeah.
of it. Yes.
All right, so now you've broken it down. You've made us understand when we talk cholera, what the whole thing is. Now let's talk about symptoms and signs. If one is about getting cholera, what are some of the things you get to see?
Do you know the sad part? Some people do not show symptoms at all.
Oh my.
So by the time the symptoms are showing, then the person is already there. So the diarrhea that we all talk about. But what is significant about cholera is that the diarrhea is watery.
Okay.
So they describe it as rice water stew.
Okay.
Because the stew looks kind of grayish with a lot of water. Because the bacteria is in such a way that if it's in your real stomach, you know, you have the gastric region, which is your stomach, which has a lot of acid. When it is there, it will die.
Okay.
So most of the bacteria don't survive because of the acidic nature of our stomach.
Okay.
But what happens is that it tries to cover itself up with some protein, goes to hide in your small intestines, finds its way into the cells. So when it is there, it stops your cells from drawing sodium and chloride.
Okay.
So then the water system is like there's so much salt in your small intestines, and you know salt draws water to itself.
Okay.
So then your body is just drawing all the water away. So it's drawing all the water away. That's how bad the bacteria is. So it's significant of you losing a lot of water, but the water is through your poop.
Okay.
And then the urine is less. Then you see that the person's heart is beating fast. Some people become confused, they are passing out, and then they don't have an orientation of where they really are. That's how bad. And they have those cramps. Some people become so bad that they are thirsty, and then some vomit. So the symptoms are quite a number. But we say that the very moment you start pooping, know that cholera has set in. Then you have to start taking in ORS.
Okay.
But using clean water and clean water, because it will be like
repeating the same cycle
again. But you know, over the years, there's been like, you know, anytime we have announcements, sometimes they go like, okay, there's an outbreak, we need to take good care of ourselves. And cholera is one thing that has been in the system for quite some time, but there's a rise and fall each and every time. So it coming out now currently, everybody's talking about, oh, cholera is right there, let's take good care of ourselves. What is actually the cause? We can talk about galamsey because we know our waters are being infected lately, and people are not getting good drinking water. But from your side, or let me say from the health space, searching through the communities and generally around, what do you think is actually causing the rise lately with cholera?
Have you realized that most of the really big hit communities are those ones close to the sea?
Okay.
Yes. And there are those places like Kaswa, those places where sanitation is poor.
The labadis and all that.
Hygiene is poor. They don't have access to potable water.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then there are flies everywhere. We don't handle our refuse very well. Exactly. So it is because of our sanitation problems, water, and then how densely populated some of our communities are. Because of the numbers in there, when one person gets it, it's easy to spread it to the other people. And then the water source is already contaminated, so everybody gets it as soon as possible. And then our stool, excuse me to say, is going into the water source. So it's just because we have not improved in our sanitation, and then our urban population area, we've not improved and then done anything about it. And education has been poor. Because I quite remember when we were kids, there was this song, cholera can kill you, you get it. But of late, those adverts are not coming out. And how many people even watch TV of late or listen to radio? So it is either on social media, but I'm not seeing all the noise on social media like I expected. Exactly. So it will keep rising until Africa or Ghana, for example, controls sanitation and it improves a lot of things.
That's true. I mean, I think sanitation is one of the biggest contributing factors when it comes to cholera. So I grew up in Kasla. They know I'm a Kasla girl in the house. And there was this sachet water that was very popular at that time. And I don't want to mention the brand, like it's literally everywhere. So I went to, I was escorting a friend to get something. And we passed through this neighborhood. So I think it's like a slum. So you know how slums work, right? We had some machine. No, that is where that water is actually produced. And if you look at the environment, it was bad. There is gutter, there's a refuse dump, and then it is in this woody structure, and it is very bad. Like, it's a hand and you show way free. This is very sad. It was very, very sad. So still talking about cholera in the same topic. Now we know what causes it, what it's about. Let's talk about the symptoms and how quickly it appears when you are being exposed to cholera.
So within 2 hours to 5 days, the symptoms can start. So it's acute. Some people can get it within 2 hours. Some people can get it in 5 days. You can stay with them, and then 5 days they will start showing symptoms. But like I said, the poop, the diarrhea is more significant, and then you realize that the person is there's this severe test. There's cramps. Some of them look like we call it the hand washing syndrome. You know, those people who wash their hands a lot, their fingers look some way.
Yeah.
Like, that's how the hands look like, and then the eyes sink in, and then they have cramps all over. They look weak and dehydrated, and then there's less pee in diarrhea. So the person is pooping all the water, so the urine output is less, and then some of them are very weak. They can't do literally anything. They become confused. They just flat out.
Interesting. And you mentioned dehydration, right? And it's something that is really part of cholera. So why is dehydration a major concern when we talk about cholera?
So the point is, your body is made up of 70 to 80% of water. So the very moment all the water starts going down, then it means that you're dying, because transport of oxygen and nutrients to body parts becomes a problem. So what happens is that when it is drawing all the water away and you become dehydrated, now supply to other parts of your body becomes a problem. And then the individual runs into what we call the hypovolemic shock, which is like some way shutting down of very vital organs of the human body. So starting from your kidney. So most people who survive very severe cholera cases end up having some form of kidney condition.
In the long term?
Yes. Or even right after it, because there was so much pressure on the kidney during that period. So it happens that the person runs into a shock, and then that will be it.
Okay. Now let's talk about mild cholera cases. Can it be gone unnoticed and be, treated like they can give a different diagnosis to it because they don't know if it's actually cholera?
So it's one of the reasons why most people die. So when the people walk into the facility, before now we're told that vomiting is supposed to be expected in cholera.
Yes.
But some of the cases we are seeing, there is no vomiting unless it goes to another stage. That's when you see the vomiting coming in. But some of them, the onset, there is no vomiting. So we tend to say, oh, it's just maybe food poisoning or typhoid, enteric fever. So they start, instead of using the ORS and then replacing the fluids the person is losing, we start attacking with antibiotics. Then it's putting more stress on the individual. The water we keep losing exactly, and it is the liquid or the water that is going to transport the antibiotic you've given me. So then there's a waste of it. So we end up losing the person. So most of it have gone unnoticed. And I would say that almost every Ghanaian has come into contact with vibrio cholerae, because some of the seafood, some of the fruits, the fishes, the mad water fishes. I was telling someone that I would even suspect, not to spoil anybody's business, point and kill kind of thing. Exactly, because we don't know where the water source is. We don't know how they are handling the water. They're just fetching water and then...
I wonder if they change the water that these fishes are actually in the tank.
Exactly.
I wonder.
Some of the shellfishes we eat and all those things have vibrio cholerae harboring in them. So you can imagine the number of times most of us have come into contact with it, but our system had flashed it, but unfortunately some people have to show symptoms and then it's carried on.
Okay, wow. Now I think we've touched on all these things. We've had a general conversation. Let's talk about the age factor. Which age is at risk, like a higher risk of getting cholera?
We are all at risk, but the people who actually suffer it most are children below age 5 and then the elderly. So at that time, their system is kind of immunosuppressed. So it's difficult for the body to actually fight the bacteria when it comes in. So it becomes a problem. But the point is, if you also you are undergoing some of a stress condition, or you're not well in any way and you come into contact with it, your system is already fighting something else. So it gives it the opportunity to actually thrive in there.
Interesting. I like what JK touched on, the age factor. Let's talk about that, but in a different angle. Let's talk about the contributions of the white blood cells when it comes to cholera. We are told that it is a blooming, I would say. It fights diseases for us. And you said we may one way or the other get in contact with this bacteria. We may not know, but because maybe our system flashes it out. So let's talk about white blood cells and its contributions when it comes to cholera.
When it comes to cholera, like I said, your blood itself is about 70 to 80% of water. So your blood, where the white blood cells find itself, has been drained of its strength. So what happens to it at that time? It doesn't really have enough. It tries to fight it, but all the water is being drawn away by your system. So then it doesn't have enough strength to do the fighting. So as much as it is trying its best to fight, you just have to complement the water, like keep adding the water so that you boost the system to flush the toxin out. Either than that, you may have the white blood cell, but it doesn't have the strength because there is no water in there to assist it carry the strength to other parts of the body for it to work.
What if it's very strong? Because I know I think I've been in a situation where like we're a group of like girls, like most of them have cholera, except me and one girl, like we didn't, could be each actually ate the same thing.
But
So
what
I'm just trying to figure out why we did not like have cholera at that time.
So what if you washed your hands clean than they did?
Okay.
Or what if, yes, you had a stronger immune system at the time? So it's not your blood cells, just your blood cells, but you might have had an immune system that was stronger at the time. Mind you, I spoke about stress. So even in school, most of us will stay up late till morning before you're going to write an exam. You come back, you don't sleep, and then there is food and you're just touching things and all about. At that time, your system is already immunocompromised. So it becomes difficult for you to fight an infection. So we don't usually, like I said in the bus, some people did not have the infection at all. But they were all in the bus.
Right.
So it happened that their system flushed it out, or they had very strong immune system, yes, that fought it. Or by chance, they drank a lot of clean water that got to fight it. So maybe they went to the poop just once or twice and then they were fine.
That could be true.
True,
That could
yeah.
be true because it happens a lot where like there's a group of people and some people do not get affected with something that is like very contagious. But let's talk about personally, before we wrap up, it happens to you in the house. Aside the ORS, what are other things that you can
Vaccines
do
you can
as a
take, yeah.
first aid? Yes.
So as your first aid method, clean ORS is first one.
Okay.
And then ensure that you're keeping every other thing clean and you're washing your hands as you visit the washroom and coming back. And then we keep all other people clean. So if I know that I have kids in the house and I'm running the stool, I should ensure that I keep the kids away from everything that caused mine. So if I ate something, then you start advising every other person. And then aside the ORS, we advise zinc as well.
Zinc.
Zinc tablets, yes. But remember that if the symptoms, you are monitoring the symptoms. So if the symptoms aggravate, please go to the hospital as soon as possible.
Right,
Cellar,
so, yeah.
or the watches cellar. We are all going there. Like the porridge cellar, we are all going there. And it will keep running around. And then the water we are going to use is not clean as well. And then the whole place there's filth everywhere. The best thing is cleaning the communities, depopulating them, providing adequate potable water, and then ensuring that the sanitation situations are corrected. But if it is not, we can't we can't fight the bacteria or fight the case.
Okay.
And then secondly, we should ensure education, because education is very
key,
low,
yeah.
very low, very low. All we know is that's all.
Yeah.
And they find it so cheeky or flimsy to say that the person who just went to the washroom is pooping plenty and died. Hey, then they are attaching it to all the other things we usually attach it to. But have you considered the fact that where we lived was wrong, or what we ate was wrong, and all those things? So it's important that even if government is not doing it for us, what can we do for ourselves? Educate ourselves, the importance of keeping the place clean.
You know, one scary part of this whole conversation we're having has to do with health facilities lately. I get really scared going there because at the end of the day, wow, or how do we say, you get back home and you're actually attracting a lot of things back then. What are the health workers doing, you know, to help, and also what do you expect from the government as well?
So it is, government has started vaccination.
Okay.
Yes, and the vaccination this one is more of a pilot in those communities that have been hardly hit. But vaccination is not the end of cholera. It's not going to stop it.
Okay.
Because the sanitation problem is still there. If I get vaccinated on hepatitis B, for example, and I am surrounded by a lot of people who have hepatitis B, there is the chance that I will get infected. I'll get the bacteria or the virus. You get me? So it's the same way with cholera. If you vaccinate the people, they are living in the same community, they are drinking the same water, eating the same food, then it's going to be a problem. And our hospital facilities are overwhelmed of late. As much as we do our best to clean the place and all the other things, it's overwhelmed. So my best advice to a lot of people when you're going to the hospital is try as much as possible not to go with your bag, because you end up putting it on the floor. Pick it and put it on your lap. And then your hand rubs your
tie and all that.
And then you're touching the doctor's desk. You don't know who has touched it, because when a person came in who held his tummy, he touched the doctor's desk. And because of the numbers there, it takes time for us to actually sanitize the table for the next person. So you realize that the doctor keeps sanitizing his hands, because he's also at a risk of carrying something home. So it's the same thing. Our hospitals are overwhelmed, but if we are able to manage public health properly in Ghana, we'll have less people going to the hospital. So if prevention is held in high esteem, then the hospitals will be less busy.
You know, Nanita, we having this conversation talking to Madam Edna. You know, something crossed my mind. I generally want to find out from her. You know, in your career, or let me say in your line of work, have you had any points where you go like, Charlie, if you don't, because a lot of times.
A lot of times. And the worst one was the sick person you're trying to help being abusive. Sincerely. Because we have heard that nurses are abusive, we also, by the time the person comes, the person is so
ready for you.
So even when you've not done anything, the person is abusing it. You're already having a bad morning, and the person attaches it. So that morning I had lost a patient, and I was trying to put myself together. Then this woman was just insulting me, saying, Charlie, I just took off the gloves, went out and said, I'm done.
But here you are today, still doing it. Wow, great. So we're wrapping it up on our well-being segment. I don't know what will be your closing words too, as well, in your socials. People want to hear.
Yeah, sure. So cholera is on the rise, and the rains are coming. So it's possible it will rise more than what we are seeing. So we're asking that you use the right food, clean water, clean food, wash your hands every time, and ensure drinking clean ORS as soon as you realize that you're passing the rice water stool, because it doesn't really come with temperature, so you can't wait for a temperature to come before. But anytime you want anyone to do the health talks and your health screening, corporate organization, anyone at all, you don't hesitate to contact me on Health Wave Connect or 0244959642 via phone, and then social media, Facebook and Instagram is Health Wave Connect. Thank you.
Okay, so we draw curtains on the well-being segment, and I hope that you've actually learned a lot. Make sure you are keeping safe and keep your hands very sanitized. And the rains, we're expecting them, and so we're expecting more. So make sure you get vaccinated as well, because government is making sure that we mitigate the spread of cholera. On this